He needs to call it quits. Patrick Beverley goes in on Chris Paul. While the fun of the NBA 2022 playoffs is keeping fans and pundits entertained, the off-court drama between Patrick Beverley and Chris Paul is gaining almost the same attention. Over the years, both Chris Paul and Pat Beverley have had on-court brawls that have seen Pat Beverley even ejected. However, following the Phoenix Suns' 123-90 Game 7 loss to the Dallas Mavericks at the Western Conference semifinals, a series in which Chris Paul struggled, Pat Beverley wasn't holding back on his criticism on his lifelong adversary. Appearing on the GetUp, an ESPN program, he went in on Chris Paul and said, "I'm going to get a lot for this, but I don't really care. They benched the wrong person. They should have benched Chris Paul." This bold statement by Pat Beverley has gotten many fans of the league and pundits shocked. However, some fans think he wasn't entirely wrong. Stay with us to find out. Chris Paul, also named CP3, is oftentimes regarded as one of the greatest point guards in NBA history. But despite his prowess, Pat Beverley believed that Chris Paul is no longer the indisputable starter he used to be. The last 4 games of the playoff series against the Dallas Mavericks were an eye-opener and a repeat of Chris Paul's struggles in Game 7, and despite winning the first 2 games of the series, he lost the series. Throughout the entire series, Chris Paul recorded a total of 94 points, including a 5-point outing in Game 4 and a 7-point outing in Game 5. He had 7 turnovers in the Game 3 loss of the series. And in a must-win 7 where Chris Paul started, the Suns were outscored by 33 points and he recorded just 10 points, 4 assists, 1 rebound, and had a plus-minus of -39, which is the worst in his career in both playoffs and regular season. While Pat Beverley was more insistent on his defense issue, comparing him to a cone, the 9 NBA All-Defensive Teams player was just as ineffective in the offense as he did in defense. After leading the Mavericks 2-0, Chris Paul made just 18 shots and committed 18 turnovers from Game 3 on, averaging 9.4 points, 5.8 assists, and 3.6 turnovers over the last 5 games of the series. Throughout those games, Chris Paul didn't attempt more than a single-digit shot in the last 5 games of the series. The 37-year-old point guard who has spent 17 years in the league is still searching for a ring. And while not winning a championship is not detrimental to some players' careers or legacy, it kind of hurts Chris Paul's legacy given his accolades and resume. Chris Paul has had the luxury of playing with several great players in his career but still hasn't won a championship. He played with James Harden, Dennis Schroeder, Jamal Crawford, DeAndre Jordan, Carmelo Anthony, Blake Griffin, and lately, Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton, and despite this impressive list of teammates, he has only been to the NBA Finals once in his career. A more promising matchup before he joined the Phoenix Suns was when he partnered with James Harden at the Houston Rockets. He played there for 2 seasons between 2017 and 2019 and made it to the Western Conference Finals for the first time in his career and the Western Conference Semifinals the following season. Unfortunately, he lost on both occasions to the Golden State Warriors. Even in the Western Conference semifinals, despite averaging 17 points, 6.4 rebounds, and 5.5 assists per game, his turnovers, 3.4, in the series against the Warriors were disturbing. Moreover, long before Patrick Beverley talked about Chris Paul's decline, Max Kellerman, a former co-host on ESPN First Take, was critical of Chris Paul following his performance against the Golden State Warriors in the 2019 playoffs. He mentioned his decline and that he came short when he was needed the most. Chris Paul is no longer a great player. He's a good player, but not a great one. He's been a great player almost his entire career, but just watch the way he played last season and he just turned 34 years old. And by the way, it's okay not to be quite not what you once were. You lose maybe half a quarter step, something like that. But then in high leverage moments, be great. And when they needed Chris Paul late in that series, it didn't even go 7 games. And it wasn't just James Harden. It was also Chris Paul who didn't come up big enough. He ended this by saying, "At this point in Chris Paul's career, I don't think CP3 is that guy, I think." However, CP3 is not getting any younger, and the decline, however small, is becoming evident. For example, the 2022 regular season is the season Chris Paul had his worst point per game, 14.7, and field goal attempts, 11.3, since he joined the league in 2005. More so, also his turnover rates are becoming disturbing. Chris Paul is an excellent playmaker, averaging 10.8 assists per game in the 2022 regular season, his best record since the 2008-2009 season, when he had 11 assists per game with 13 more games than in the 2022 season. However, despite his playmaking ability, his defensive prowess is on the decline, and that could be blamed mostly for his age. On the ESPN First Take show, sports analyst Stephen A. Smith was asked if the loss to the Mavericks was Chris Paul's last shot at a title. He said, "I believe it is. Here's the deal. Golden State, I believe, is going to be better next year. I think Golden State will be a team to be reckoned with. We have Golden State, we have Dallas, you have Memphis, Minnesota, a healthy Denver. All I'm saying is, I think it was Chris Paul's best chance as presently constructed. Phoenix can make a deal, but as presently constructed, this is it. Phoenix will not be in this position next year as presently constructed. His co-host, JJ Redick, also agreed with him that this may be Chris Paul's last chance at winning a title. Also, on the Undisputed Talk Show, sports analyst Shannon Sharpe was asked what he thinks about Chris Paul's legacy following the loss to the Dallas Mavericks. He said, "Well, the damage is already done. He's a playoff underperformer, and this is just another case of it. He's an all-time great. It's hard to ignore that. I think he's a top 5 point guard all-time skill, but in 7 elimination games, Chris Paul is over. They have not won an elimination game with Chris Paul." Given his criticism from sports analyst Golden State Warriors forward Draymond Green during the recent episode of The Draymond Green Show, has also given his thoughts on what Patrick Beverley said and claimed that his analysis of Chris Paul, if seen from a different perspective, was rather impressive. "I've seen more than just Chris Paul stuff, and I actually think he said some good things," Green said. "There's been times on there where he was very particular in breaking things down. He went in depth on things. So I think people can really learn some things from listening to Patrick Beverley." He further said the issue with what he said was how he said it, and that's why most people are not paying close attention to the points he's trying to make. "I respect him standing on what he said. I just think it did him a huge disservice in showing what he's capable of from the TV side, because that immediately became what it was about. It became more about Patrick Beverley talking about Chris Paul than about, man, Patrick Beverley is actually breaking the game down and telling us things that most people can't see and make out." In a brief interview with ESPN after the Phoenix Suns match against the Clippers in the 2021 season, Chris Paul was asked about what he thought when people said he was done a couple of years ago, and he said, It was cool. I know me. You know I work hard. You know that's the thing. You know you're competitive. You know you always got to bet on yourself. Isaiah Thomas always saying slow grind. You know it's all about the work that you do when people don't see you. And you know I'm grateful to have an unbelievable team around me, a support system like none other." However, with rumors of Chris Paul retiring after the loss to the Dallas Mavericks, CP3, who signed to the Suns till the 2024-25 season, has now revealed his stance on if he would end his illustrious career when he told reporters that he would be back for his 18th season. "You play long enough and you don't win. Every time you lose, they're going to say it was your best chance," Paul said. "But I think for me, we'll be right back here next year. I'll tell you that much. I'm not retiring tomorrow, thank God. Hopefully I'm healthy coming back, but I'm going to keep playing." Despite his age, Chris Paul has shown himself to be a leader, guiding young players while leading the team. His leadership skills were evident when he was in OKC Thunder. There he led the team in points, 21.3, and assists, 5.3 per game during their playoff series against the Houston Rockets in the only season he spent there. However, since joining the Phoenix Suns, he helped the team make the NBA Finals in his first season, and in his second season, helped them win a franchise record 64 regular season games. Also during his time with the Suns, Devin Booker, a fellow star, finished 4th in the MVP voting for the 2020-2021 season, and the head coach, Monty Williams, was named Coach of the Year. So it isn't strange that Chris Paul is still optimistic and is in no way worried about what others think, because he still believes he can finally win the title with the Phoenix Suns because of their promising roster and their performances in the regular season for the past 2 years. Do you believe CP3 will still be in the NBA next season? Or do you think he wouldn't retire until he wins a championship? Let us know what you think in the comments section. We hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more exciting NBA videos. See you next time.